January 27, 1959. 10 young hikers begin a skiing expedition through the northern Ural Mountains in Soviet Russia. Their destination is Otorten, a remote peak whose name, in the local Mansi language, means Mountain of the Dead. One hiker turns back due to illness on the second day, a fortunate twist of fate. The remaining 9 press forward into the wilderness. They are led by Igor Dyatlov. They are all students or graduates from the Ural Polytechnical Institute. They are experienced, they are prepared. They have done expeditions like this before. They will never be seen alive again. When the group fails to return on schedule, search parties are sent out. For weeks, they find nothing. Then, on February 26th, they find the tent on the slope of Kolatsiekal, another mountain, whose name ominously translates to Dead Mountain. What they discover makes no sense. The tent is half collapsed and buried in snow, but it has been slashed open from the inside. Not unzipped, not untied, cut with a knife from within. The hikers' belongings are still inside. Their boots, their warm clothes, their supplies, everything they needed to survive the brutal sub-zero temperatures. The search party follows a trail of footprints in the snow. Barefoot prints, prints from socks, a single boot print. The tracks lead down the slope, away from the shelter of the tent, towards a forest line nearly a mile away. The tracks are calm, ordered, there's no sign of a struggle, no indication they were being chased by another person. They walked away from their tent, into a frozen hell. The first 2 bodies are found at the edge of the forest, under a large, ancient cedar tree. They are Yuri Krivonishenko and Yuri Doroshenko. They wear only their underwear. Their hands are torn and bloody from what appears to be a desperate attempt to climb the tree. A small fire had been started nearby, but it went out long before. The official cause of death, hypothermia, they froze to death. 3 more bodies are found between the tree and the tent, spaced hundreds of yards apart. Igor Dyatlov, Zina Kolmogorova, and Rustam Slobodin. Their positions suggest they were trying to return to the tent. They are slightly better dressed, but still inadequately clothed for the -30-degree temperatures. They also froze to death. Slobodin had a minor skull fracture, but it wasn't considered fatal. This first discovery is baffling enough. Why would 9 experienced mountaineers abandon their only shelter, underdressed, and flee into the deadly cold? Why were some trying to climb a tree? The investigation takes a much darker turn 2 months later. In May, as the snow begins to melt, the remaining 4 bodies are found. They are discovered under 13 feet of snow in a ravine, not far from the cedar tree, and their condition changes everything. Nicholas Thibobrignolis had a massive skull fracture. Alexander Zolotaryev and Ludmila Dubinina had major chest fractures. The force required to cause such injuries would be comparable to a high-speed car crash. Yet strangely, there were no external wounds, no bruises, no signs of impact on the skin. It was as if a giant, invisible force had crushed them from within. And there's more. Ludmila Dubinina was missing her tongue, her eyes, and part of her lips. Alexander Zolotaryev was missing his eyes and eyebrows. Soviet investigators struggled to explain the evidence. How do you break someone's ribs without leaving a single mark on their body? How do you remove a tongue without cutting the face? And the central question remained, why would 9 people cut open their tent and run into certain death, wearing almost nothing? The official conclusion, released just a few months later, was intentionally vague. It stated the group died from a compelling natural force, which they were unable to overcome. The case was immediately classified. All files were sealed and locked away for 30 years. This secrecy, of course, only fueled speculation. In the decades that followed, theories multiplied. The avalanche theory is the most common, scientifically accepted explanation. The idea is that a small slab avalanche struck the tent. It did unbury them completely, but put enough pressure on the tent to cause panic and inflict the internal injuries. Fearing a second larger avalanche, they cut their way out and fled. But there are problems with this theory. The search party found no signs of avalanche debris. The tent, while collapsed, was not buried. The footprints leaving the tent were orderly, not frantic. And an avalanche doesn't explain the missing tongue and eyes. Scavengers are a possible explanation for those, but it doesn't quite fit with the state of the other bodies. Another popular theory involves secret Soviet military testing. The area was known to be used for such purposes. Witnesses, including another hiking group about 30 miles away, reported seeing strange orange lights or spheres in the sky on the night the group died. Could an experimental weapon have caused the strange injuries and the panic? Possibly, but no known weapon in 1959 could produce the specific, bizarre pattern of trauma found on the victims without leaving any external evidence. The indigenous Mansi people were briefly suspected. This was their land, but they were peaceful, had no motive, and the injuries were not consistent with any known human attack. There were no signs of a struggle with other people at the campsite. What about a natural phenomenon? Infrasound, a low-frequency sound below the level of human hearing, can be generated by certain wind patterns, like a Karaman vortex street. In theory, high levels of infrasound can induce feelings of panic, dread, and nausea. Could this have caused the hikers to flee their tent in a state of irrational terror? It's an intriguing idea, but it's purely hypothetical and doesn't explain the catastrophic physical injuries. Then there's the human element. Could something have happened within the group? A fight? A sudden shared psychosis? It seems unlikely. These were close friends, experienced in handling high-stress situations. And again, it doesn't explain the crushing chest injuries. Paradoxical undressing is a real phenomenon where victims of severe hypothermia feel a sudden, intense sensation of being hot and remove their clothes. This could explain why some were found in their underwear, but it usually happens in the final stages of hypothermia, just before death. It doesn't explain why they left the tent in the first place. In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation, partly due to persistent public pressure. After re-examining the evidence, they doubled down on the avalanche theory, concluding it was the only plausible explanation. However, many researchers, and the families of the victims, rejected this finding. It still left too many questions unanswered. So, here we are, 65 years later. We have 9 experienced hikers, a tent cut open from the inside, a desperate half-naked flight into the frozen darkness, injuries that defy simple explanation, and decades of theories that never quite fit all the evidence. What force made them choose the certainty of freezing to death over the safety of their shelter? What did they see or hear that night on the slopes of Dead Mountain? Was it an avalanche? A secret weapon? A natural anomaly? Or something else entirely? The Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of history's most haunting and compelling unsolved mysteries. 9 lives ended in the most inexplicable way. The truth, it seems, remains frozen in time. What do you think happened? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this mystery as fascinating as I do, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the unknown.